Hello guys, today we are going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. This is episode 22, and in the last episode we saw a bunch of countries join the 4-Point Star Alliance. We saw Crete have a civil war where basically no fighting actually happened, but we have two new countries being being Cyprus and Sicily. We also saw a Romanian civil war where they switched from a dictatorship to a constitutional monarchy. We saw France invade Scotland and fully annex it. And other than the other expansions that I will not mention, we saw the Danish war begin. However, no fighting has actually started yet because that was meant for this episode. And I would like to say the Danish and the Hungarians are on the same team, which is kind of interesting because in the Crusades, the Danish fought against the Romanians. But basically what happened was the Danish kind of switched from being allied with the French to not liking the French. And the Romanians kind of liked that, so they just decided to ally with them. Plus, they wanted to get more land, and they are confident that they will win. And by the way, these are the sides. The red team is anti-Danish and the blue team is Danish. It looks like there's more red, but that's because these countries are kind of smaller and weaker. So we see that the first fighting begins in the green East Prussian team, and it is going to go well for the Danish as they capture a major city quite early on. This is not good for the anti-Danish alliance because a lot of land is falling quite quickly, and another major city is captured. We also see that they begin their invasion of Norway, which kind of goes successfully, but they don't really go that far before the front line is halted. Looking over on this side, we see that the Norwegians are actually going to be able to push off the Danish and capture a major city over in Sweden and just go a little bit more south. We also see that the Finnish are going to make a landing over here in Sweden and take this major city, and they're going to push southward. Taking a look over at Hungary, we see that the yellowish team is going to invade and be successful to capture a few major cities. They're going to pretty much capture the whole eastern half of the country and border this little microstate now. The blue team also does join in on this because the Hungarians are significantly weakened. And at this point, more Danish troops are sent down here to halt the front line just like this. We do see, however, this major city is captured from the Norwegians, and they are approaching on the capital, and they're attempting to encircle it. We also see that a landing is made in the south, and they capture this major city just like that. We see that the Danish are going to start invading into this light blue team as well, which is successful in the north but not in the south. They capture this major city as well, and they are continuing their invasion of East Prussia. It's actually not looking that great for the anti-Danish team at the moment, because the Danish are really strong actually. Taking a look over here again, we see that these two front lines are connected, and they actually managed to take the capital of Norway. Now we are going to see that the Finnish and the Norwegians are going to begin to be kicked out of the mainland of Denmark, and this actually goes successfully as they're fully kicked out. And we are going to see that the Belarusians are actually going to say goodbye because they know that their side is losing the war, and they're like, I'm not doing this. Which in everyone else's eyes is just a betrayal, so they're going to be like, what's going on? Over in Hungary, we also see that they are going to push back both of these teams, and they're going to kind of look like this. And we are going to see that the Danish are just about to take the capital of East Prussia, as we see something kind of interesting happen. As we see the French start their invasion of the Danish team, which kind of is a huge shock for literally everyone. And we also see that there are going to be some Switzerland rebellions. The Swiss only joined the Danish just so that they don't get invaded by the red team. Now, France does not like this. They still do not want to work together with Switzerland, but they are going to choose to not invade them because they don't want to make this war any more deadly than it already is. We see that this major city is captured, and a spearhead kind of thing, not really, but is going straight towards the capital, which is going to actually go successfully as the capital city is captured. As the occupation zone kind of looks like this, the Danish team has been split in two, and they are going to continue their invasion of the Jutland Peninsula. And yeah, it's not going too well for the Danish actually, because the Danish team barely exists in Denmark, and they just start their island hopping campaign, and eventually all of Denmark is kicked out. But the country does not surrender because there are still a lot of major cities left, but we are going to see that a few other countries are going to continue invading against the Danish, as the Norwegians are going to take their capital back and basically kick them out of Norway. And same thing here, this takes a little bit longer, but eventually all of this area is kicked out. And obviously so does this area. And we see that they're going to invade into the Danish team directly through this little panhandle type thing. And yeah, we see that the light blue team is going to invade down and eventually take the capital. What they're going to end up doing in the peace treaty, I'll talk to once we get to the peace treaty. But we are going to see that the Hungarians are going to surrender. And over in the Swedish areas, this goes very well for the Norwegians, as they're going to take out like a lot of land. They're going to meet up with the French, and it's going to look something like this. We see another landing is made by the Finnish, which this time goes successful as well. And they are also going to take this little island in the Baltic Sea, which is pretty vital. It's pretty important for trade as well. And eventually we're just going to see that the Danish are going to surrender, the Danish in Switzerland. And the Danish are going to say, let's make a peace treaty because I don't want to lose any more land than I have to. So let's get to the peace treaty. We see that the Norwegians are going to get this land. A new Swedish team is going to be created. This one is going to be pro-Norwegian this time, so it's a little bit different than the last government of Sweden. And we see that the rest of this area and the island of like where Copenhagen is and this island are going to also be created a new country. And we see a new Jutland country being created, which is going to have a new government as well. Now, with the fact that this team left the war whenever they thought they were losing, they saw that these guys are not very good to stay in the alliance because I can't find the words I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. So, wrong layer. So they're going to be booted out of the 4-Point Star Alliance. We also see that the Trapezoid Alliance is going to be dissolved. I'm not going to get rid of these two because I'm going to do something with them later. But we see that the East Prussians are going to be allowed to join this alliance, which they choose to do so. And this is pretty much to replace the spot of Belarus. The light blue team is going to annex this land of the Danish because it's kind of ugly that it was even with the Danish in the first place. We see that the Hungarians are going to get a new government. I'm going to change the color slightly. I mean, that kind of works, does it? I'm just not going to change it. It looks better without change. The East Prussians are going to get this land, which at this point we can just call the Prussians. Taking a look over at the Western eras, we are going to see that Switzerland is going to return. I think I added more major cities because there's a lot right here. It looks kind of weird. The red team is going to be given this land, and now all that's left is going to be the division of the Dutch team. We see an Austrian team, which I think I'll give this land as well so it doesn't look like so much border gore. We're going to have a new Saxon kingdom. We have this Baden-Württemberg country. I don't know what else you would call that, so I'm just going to call it that. And now, this area would be given a different color, but considering the color I chose, I think it would look better if I colored this one with it. So this is the old German government, or the Danish government, and this is a new German government, but it's just the same color as the Danish team. So this is all of the new countries that exist in this area. It kind of looks kind of interesting. I like all these new countries. So let's give them capitals. Sweden's will be right here. This interesting, I don't even know what you call that, would be right here. The Jutland country is going to be right there. The Saxon country is going to be right there. This Baden-Württemberg country, Württemberg. That's hard to say, but it's going to be right there. The Switzerland country is going to have its old capital. The Austrians are going to have this capital, and the new German state is going to have this capital. I guess it's kind of close to the border, but there's none in the middle. And yeah, I think that's it for the German war, or the Dutch war, whatever. And this video's already been 12 minutes, so I apologize for that, but we are not done yet. Unless I realize that I did not pause at a certain point and I'm going to edit that out. I don't know. Hopefully that's the case, so that it's not as long, but probably not. But like I said with the Parallelogram Alliance, these two are going to remain in the Parallelogram Alliance, and nations that are going to join are going to be the new Swedish government, this other Swedish government that's the same, and Jutland. And yeah, that's all for now. But sticking with alliances, we are going to have a new Hexagon Alliance, which is going to be the Ottoman Alliance, which is going to include this northern Anatolian country, the Cypriot country, and interestingly, we're going to see the southern Mesopotamians also join. We are going to see something happen over with the Norwegians as they are going to discover Svalbard. I don't know where they would discover, but let's just say that they discover the whole thing eventually. And I'm just going to color this whole thing in. There we go. Svalbard is now discovered. They're not going to annex it quite yet, though, because they don't have resources for it. They need to be able to handle the cold. Taking a look at the expansion section of this video, we are going to see that even more land is discovered in Africa, and we're going to see that they're going to settle here, and we're actually going to see a new country being created, which is going to be this blue team. They kind of just, I think you would call them the Senegalese country. But yeah, they exist now. Over in Egypt, I'm going to just make it look a little bit better or something. I don't really know. I'm just going to fill this bit in. And I'm going to change the border so that it doesn't look so weird. So this is what they are going to get. It looks also looks weird, but it doesn't look as bad. They're basically kind of just controlling a little bit of desert. They're not quite into the lush areas yet where it's all like trees and stuff. Over here in the Arabian Peninsula, let's take a look at what happens. And it looks like this. A new purple team has been created and just a lot more exploring, and all the other countries that border this desert have got some land. We see that these two finally border each other. And now let's take a look at the Indian subcontinent. We have a few expansions for this Indus River country, and they are going to stop expanding for a while because they are super big and they are in the midst of just about to collapse because they're that big. But they're going to stop expanding so they can work on stability. For the other two, we're not going to see any expansion this episode. We see that a new Sri Lankan country is going to exist. The southern tip of India is going to create their own country. And a new Dravid country is going to be created as well. And finally, one more country, which is going to be this Mumbai type country. I changed my mind about no expansion. We're going to have this purple team get this land. And here are the new major cities and capitals. Taking a look at East Asia, we see the whole island. Oh crap. We see the whole island of Hokkaido be discovered. And right after that, we see that the purple team is going to annex all of it. Over here, the green team is going to annex all of this land, so now they are quite powerful. North Korea is going to annex this land. And we see that Taiwan is discovered. We are going to continue to see more exploration down the Vietnamese coast as they get all the way down to southern Vietnam, and they're going to discover this whole area. And if we do see another white area, they're going to continue their exploration, and eventually they find each other. They don't speak the same language, they cannot communicate to each other, but they're like, what's going on? So, yeah, eventually we're going to have them setting up a little bit of a city, I guess, right here, a town or something, and they're going to basically get it to where they can basically talk to each other, learn each other's languages and all that. So nothing's going to come over this episode, but they have discovered that there are other people. But anyway, moving over here, we see that these exploration groups are going to split up along the coast. We see that they're going to go all the way down to Malaysia and go to Singapore, and they're going to stop there. They discover that this area is basically like a peninsula, so they're going to discover the whole thing. And they're going to stop exploring because they went so far and they have not set up any civilization since that. And with that, we are going to see some more countries being created in the next episode. I'm not going to do it quite yet, but just know there are a bunch of settlements being created along these areas, and there will probably be an updated trade layer in the next episode as well. The pink team is going to take this land, and we're going to move over to Iberia. We see that the purple team is going to invade into this orange team, and they're going to take it over pretty quickly. And of course, for the peace treaty, we have them being fully annexed. However, we are going to see an interesting event take place where the red team is going to go to war with the southern Iberians. And obviously, we see who's going to win. It's the red team. But we'll just take a look at how this goes. I'm going to turn on the city layer. They're going to take these cities, and yeah. You know what? I'm just going to save you the details. Obviously, they're just going to lose. And we see in the peace treaty, they are going to be fully annexed. And this is going to be a bit of a mistake because now this team is very unstable. This is like the Roman Empire, but in a different timeline, and it's different, and it's the Western Europeans. And France is now the Western European Empire. They are huge. And they are by far the most powerful nation in the world. But that is actually going to do it for today's video. I apologize for it being so long, but you got a lot of stuff, so I don't apologize. because I need to stop apologizing for every little thing, because yeah. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.